Alright, what's up? Quick little video explaining what to do when you are in this skinny fat stage. And besides explaining what you should do, also things you definitely shouldn't do, because I think that's more of a problem. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So first off, what is skinny fat? So it's kind of, well, this physique you see right here, also the physique you see on this slide. Kind of just low muscle mass, or at least not a significant amount of muscle. You can have a little bit of muscle, like this guy right here. You can see he has some bicep. You can maybe even see a little bit of tricep here, or like a little bit of chest. This guy obviously has more muscle than this guy right here. But it basically just comes down to a high fat mass compared to your amount of muscle mass. So this guy, for example, just proportionally, he has way more fat than muscle mass. It could just look this bad because he has such a little amount of muscle. Yeah, I would say skinny fat is like fatter than assumed in terms of body fat percentage, because like this body fat percentage is going to be pretty high. Like this guy is overweight. Matter of fact, both of these guys are overweight if you were to look at purely body fat percentage, and that is just because they have so little muscle. And these types of physique are also like when you're wearing a t-shirt, you can't even really tell. You'd say like, oh, that guy is skinny, but then when they take off their shirt, they're actually like, yeah, they're low-key fat. Okay, and then the worst thing you can do, let me quickly move my camera. These are actually pictures of myself. Okay, so like this picture on the complete right is me like 1 month into the gym, and as you can see, I basically have this build. Mine might not be as bad, but I'm also in better lighting, I think. But I mean, just like excess fat over here, excess fat on your pecs. And yeah, well, what I did and what I think a lot of people do is bulk, because they think I have low muscle mass, so I need to increase the amount of muscle I have, which technically is correct. And well, this was, I think, 1 month of a bulk difference, and my arms definitely gained size, also obviously because I was new to the gym. I was just putting on muscle quick. But yeah, like my bicep, also my tricep right there, definitely gained a bit of size. Maybe my pecs as well. I think my shoulder got a little more width compared to here. But something you should also look at is just the belly, man. Like, I think I even got fatter here. Yeah, I definitely have more fat around my belly in this picture right here. And well, I just continued bulking for a few more months because obviously I just needed to put on more muscle. And so this is like, I think 5 months later, this on the complete left. And I mean, my arm is definitely bigger. Like, you can tell that my bicep especially, but also my tricep has gotten significant size compared to both of these pictures. My pecs are definitely also bigger as well. My shoulders are bigger. All the aesthetic muscles are bigger. But I mean, just look at this abdominal area, man. Like, yeah, I definitely put on a good amount of muscle, 100%. But this still is not aesthetic at all. This is not something to be proud of. Yeah, I put on size, but I still have that skinny fat look. And yeah, I feel like that's the mistake that people make, especially skinny fat guys. They're usually new lifters and all they know is bulk, 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 bulk. Just eat up, get size, get big. But especially with that approach, and basically always when you're bulking, you'll be putting on more fat than muscle. So if you're already at a starting point where you have high fat mass and low muscle mass, you don't want to just increase that by getting even higher fat mass and slightly higher muscle mass, but still you're gaining way more fat than muscle. And I mean, like, if I had a better approach, man, like between these two pictures, I could have had abs here. Would it have been harder? Yes, for sure, but this stuff isn't always easy. Okay, so what should you do? Updated picture of me. As you can see, I am significantly leaner than this picture right here. And like, guys, you don't want to underestimate how much fat you have in your body. This picture right here, I'm like almost 10 kilos lighter, which is like 20 pounds than this. And well, I mean, just look at my pecs. They're way more defined. My pecs look so much better. And yeah, there's a lot of time between this picture right here and this picture, but that's mainly just I was yo-yo dieting, but also you have so much more fat to lose than you think. I've been struggling with binging as well. It's been better lately, but like I've just been making very slow progress because I kept having hiccups, you know. But yeah, this is my current physique, and I'm still aiming to lose a few more kilos. I really want to lean out in my abdominal area right here. I want to get visible abs, and that's also kind of my only goal. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, is what you should have been doing all this time if you're skinny fat. It's just recomp/cut. So what is recomping? Recomping is basically just keeping your amount of fat mass and putting on muscle, or even slightly losing the amount of fat mass and putting on muscle. How you do this, you just eat enough protein, train hard enough, and keep your calories at like maintenance, or if you want to lose some fat, a slight deficit. And you can build muscle in a deficit. It's like pretty easy. I also have a video on how to build muscle, which I think also covers this topic, building muscle in a deficit. Last few days I've been in like 1,000 calorie deficit and my lifts have still been going up. So that's what I'm doing right now, just a cut, like a pretty aggressive cut compared to a recomp. In a cut I would say you're less focused on building new muscle. Definitely aim to maintain all your muscle because it's pretty easy, but it's less of a priority to put on new muscle. I would say if you're like at this stage, I think I'm like 19%, 20% body fat, then you can just go for an aggressive cut. So I would just go on a little recomp, like a 300-400 calorie deficit until you're at around this stage, and then you can opt for an aggressive cut. It's gonna be harder for sure, but you'll also get faster results. And like, I just want to get this over with. I hope within like 6 to 8 weeks to have like pretty good looking defined abs. But yeah, you just don't want to go in a surplus if you're skinny fat, man. You don't want to gain more fat because at the end of the day, all the surplus is you just gaining fat. To build muscle, it's like 30 calories per day, which, I mean, that's not even noticeable. You might be above or under that just by making mistakes in your tracking. And I mean, in my eyes, the energy cost of building muscle is already calculated into your maintenance, because that is the energy that you are expending throughout the day. So yeah, with that logic, it just makes no sense to go into a surplus because all that excess energy will just go to fat, which when you're skinny fat is the last thing you want. You just want to put on muscle mass, which you can do at maintenance or in a slight deficit, no need for a surplus, and then just maintain or preferably even lose fat mass. Because yeah, if you're skinny fat, you just want to trim down on the amount of fat you have and put on muscle to get you a more athletic look. And yeah, as I said, just eat sufficient protein for this. If you want to optimize, you can prioritize carbs around workout. This is especially if you are in a calorie deficit and have less carbs available throughout the day. I would recommend put yourself into a deficit just by 30 minutes of low intensity steady state cardio like this, incline walking. Just after your workouts, do 30 minutes of incline walking, will burn around 200 calories. Or you could also subtract like 100 calories from your diet, that puts you in a 300 calorie deficit. Or just an aggressive cut, which has been my approach. I think I might make a full video on how to execute this. But yeah, just find ways to put yourself into like a 1,000 calorie deficit. And yeah, good sleep promotes fat loss. First off, if you're sleeping more, that's less time to eat, less time to even think about food. Also, if your training is not on point, because the training in this stage is going to be the stimulus to build muscle or at least maintain your muscle. That mechanical tension on your muscle is a signal to your body that you want to hold on to the muscle. If your training is not on point, good sleep is really important because good sleep is going to be the difference for your body to choose between burning fat or muscle for energy. It's been shown that people who sleep like 5.5 hours or something, I think, that when they lose weight, they lose like 60% muscle, 40% fat. Might not be the exact numbers. And people that sleep like 8.5 hours, they burn like 90% fat, 10% muscle or something. Like, it makes a pretty significant difference. But obviously, if you also train on top of that, because these people were not strength training, if you train to signal your body to hold on to your muscle, that would obviously help even with bad sleep. But I would still always aim for like 8 hours of good sleep. And carb refeeds only if performance drops. Look at this. I'm specifying specifically here carb refeeds, not just refeeds. Because if your performance drops, you don't need to eat high fat stuff. Don't go to McDonald's where there's more fat than carbs. Because your performance drops due to the glycogen in your muscles just being completely depleted. And with eating fats, you will not refill that glycogen. So yeah, if your performance drops, and this isn't just after a few days, that's placebo if your performance drops after a few days. Like after a week or two, if you can't get any pumps anymore, workouts are progressively going worse, then do a carb refeed, probably just slam like 300 grams of carbs throughout the day. And yeah, just do this from potatoes, rice, oatmeal, whatever, just stuff that's mostly carbs, not a lot of fat, because that's all you need. You just need to refill your glycogen, which will then happen throughout the day from consuming those extra carbs. And yeah, just put yourself at maintenance that day, or even above maintenance. It doesn't really hurt to go into a slight surplus that day if it's purely from carbs, because those carbs will just go towards your muscle. You won't really put on any fat from that day. So yeah, refeed if performance significantly drops after like a few weeks, and then refeed with only carbs. That's very important. But most importantly, man, progress takes time. You have more fat than you think. And I mean, that's like literally what I said right here. There's a lot of time between this picture and this picture. As I said, I was also yo-yo dieting, binge eating, whatever, so that definitely messed it up. But it takes time, man. This isn't like over in a couple of weeks. Like, there was 10 kgs between these pictures. I'm not saying you can't lose 10 kilos in a couple of weeks, but like, that's gonna be the toughest few weeks of your life, man. So yeah, just keep in mind you probably have more fat to lose than you think. Even me right now in my aggressive deficit in 6 to 8 weeks, I might not even have abs, we'll see. But yeah, it takes time, but as long as you're in a calorie deficit and progressing in your lifts, or at least maintaining your lifts to hold onto your muscle, you will look better and you will lose that fat, improving your body composition. So yeah, that was just a quick video on what to do if you are skinny fat. Kind of also specifically what I'm doing personally right now. And I hope this video was able to help somebody out. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.